Bad Boys for Life is an action comedy crime film starring Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and Vanessa Hudgens, amongst others. It is directed by Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falah. This is the sequel to Bad Boys 2, which came out in 2003, 17 years ago. Mike Lowry, played by Will Smith, and Marcus Burnett, played by Martin Lawrence, are back together once again. Naturally, a lot has happened to the Bad Boys duo, with age now catching up to them, especially Marcus, who has become a grandfather. He tries to convince Mike that it's time for them both to retire and focus on their families and loved ones. Of course, Mike is having none of it, insisting that he's going to hunt down criminals till he's 100 years old. But when an assassin begins to target high-profile members of the law, it's time for them to take the so-called one last ride together. Bad Boys is a popular franchise that saw global success in the hands of Michael Bay. This time around, Bay isn't at the helm, although you can sense his presence, watching over the Belgian duo behind this film, Adil and Bilal. So the franchise's trademark, extravagant, flamboyant action style, made famous by Michael Bay, is undoubtedly in place but slightly pulled back as if to respect the aging pair on camera. Coming to which, both Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are back to their usual shenanigans, picking up right where they left off. This leads to a lot of attempts at humor, but many of those jokes fell quite flat. Maybe that brand of comedy is outdated and doesn't work anymore, for me at least, but besides a couple of jokes that got to me, the others felt like filler. On the other hand, there are ample opportunities for heartfelt emotion as our two leads contemplate their age and how their lives as cops have affected them. This is integral to the plot and brings some emotional weight to it. Outside of that, the plot itself is contrived and filled with plot holes, so it's best not to dwell on it too much. Although, Adil and Bilal take this typical screenplay and present it interestingly by throwing some curveballs along the way. This makes the film mostly engaging, even though some revelations are out of the blue and take a while to digest. Performance-wise, Martin Lawrence seems slightly rusty in some scenes, but Will Smith manages to balance it out. Joe Pantoliano makes a triumphant return as Captain Howard. The rest of the cast isn't much to talk about. Vanessa Hudgens could do with a slightly meatier role because there's not much for her to do, while Paula Nunes makes a striking appearance. This isn't a franchise you watch for great acting, so there's that. But there are ample automobile chases, gunfights, and hand-to-hand combat to satisfy action fans, and a serviceable story to see you through. Which is why I'm going with 3.5 stars for Bad Boys for Life. Look, this isn't going to be a memorable film in any way, but it's a decent addition to the Bad Boys franchise, and I'm sure there's room for more, depending on how this one fares. It's a typical popcorn entertainer, and as long as you know what you're in for, you'll have a good time. Guys, thanks so much for watching this review. For more film reviews, interviews, and box office stories, keep watching because if it's entertainment, you'll find it here on Enow.